day-to-day lives. Tonight, we are having an interesting discussion concerning land issues and what the government is doing at the moment to deal with fraudulent cases or people either forging title deeds and what have you, and what is happening in terms of digitalization of title deeds here in the country. Remember, you can send in your questions and feedback on our social media platforms at KUTV Kenya on Facebook, at KUTV_Kenya on Twitter, and KUTV Kenya on YouTube. My name is Irene Mwangi, but before we debunk this particular discussion, let me allow my guest to introduce herself kindly.
Thank you very much. My name is Sharon Wawire, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I work as an associate at KUTVNEWS.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Advocate Wawire, for making time for this particular discussion. And as you may know, land, is an emotive issue, maybe either due to culture, perception, and what have you. But what can you say has led to it being an emotive factor? Is it because of the legal context not being robust to ensure that the squabbles within land issues are settled? Or is it more of a societal issue and a cultural issues that the legal perspective is not able to permeate through?
I think, land is a property that is being owned by anyone, can be owned by anyone. And the reason as to why it's so emotive, it's because the right to a property, I really don't know why most Kenyans, they really hold the title deed so dearly.
Yeah.
Like, one day I was doing a transaction with regards to registration of a lease document. So you tell this proprietor that, help me with your title deed. I want to register this lease on the encumbrance section. If you open the title deed, there's the first bit, the second bit, then the next bit is the encumbrance section. It's always blank if you look at it.
Yeah.
Now, sitting there telling a layman that, I need your title deed for me to register this lease agreement. And they're like, no, do you want to steal from me? So the reason why I really don't know why that is the perception of so many people. They hold the title deeds so dear to them.
Yeah.
I really don't know, because of the numerous fraudulent dealings at the land registry where there is the double title deed, titling of the titles, and also maybe because of you go to the registry, you do a search, you find that this property no longer belongs to you. But currently, the country is really going proper digitalization of the title deeds with the so-called Advisasa platform, where it's just a digital platform. Currently, it is fully operational in Nairobi. And right now, so long as you have any property in Nairobi, you must really do something called conversion. And what is conversion? Conversion is the migration of the old title deeds to the new title deeds. Let me just give an example. Let me say you have a property in Dagoretti. Maybe the parcel number there is Dagoretti/Riruta/ let me say a number. And for you to do conversion, the first thing, it must be gazetted. Yes, it must be gazetted by the cabinet secretary. So if you have at the SASA platform, you can there's a resource center, you just click the old title deed. And you'll get the new converted title deed. And how do you do this? You must have an Advisasa platform. Anyone can have it. Even you can have it. You can just register and you get your platform. You log in. After that, you go there to the resource area, click the old title deed, and you'll know whether that title, so long as it's in Nairobi currently because it's fully operational, it will be, you'll see the results, whether it's converted or not. And something else, currently if your property is in Nairobi and it's not converted, it's it's difficult to do anything on that property. You can't transfer it, you can't really charge it unless you have manual registration approval from the registrar. So it's really high time. It's something that rolled out in 2023. It's really interesting. So I think if you have any property in Nairobi, it's high time to look for it, whether it has been converted or not. And the good thing with it is free of charge. You just go there to verification from the old title deed to the new title deed. You apply for it. And the good thing with the system, it tracks the record, the progress rather. You'll see whether it's at the registrar, whether it's at verification. Yes.
All right, interesting. And it's a good way of doing things, especially in Nairobi, where we have had cases of fraudulent actions in terms of forging title deeds and what have you, and the theft that has been seen there. But before we even get into the digitization aspect of it, looking into other areas, what are some of the due diligence that are supposed to be there when you are acquiring a property, a land property? Because we have had cases of people being scammed, which has caused an alarm to an extent that now we are looking into digitization to make things to be quite transparent. So what can you say concerning that?
Okay, on due diligence, actually that's the first thing anyone who wants to purchase a property must do. The first thing, you conduct an official search, an official search, and that one you just go to the registry, get it, you pay. Right now it used to be 500. Right now you have to pay 1,050. Yeah. Yeah, right now is 1,050. After the official search, there's something called green card. So for the green card, it shows the history of that property, like who had it first before it was transferred to this person.
Does it happen also in places where digitization has not taken place? Does it cut across?
Yes. For the green card, you just apply for it. It's 3,050. So you look, the green card will give you all the proprietors of that property, like the first owner to the tail end, and whether there has been any caveat, any restriction on the property, whether they've been deregistered or they're still there.
Okay.
Yes. And also the other one is a Ndungu report. You look for that property. You just Google Ndungu report. You look for that property, whether it's listed there. So the Ndungu report is one of the reports that the commissioners back then in 2000, early 2000s, they came up with the report because of the fraudulent dealings that we've been talking about. So if the property is there, it means the property is a bad title deed. So before even you purchase that property, just look for the Ndungu report, click and search for that property. If the property is listed there, it means it's a bad title deed. And it means even if you buy it, you won't get a good title out of it.
So is it an investigative sort of report that was there in the Ndungu report? And what informed the listing of the properties in that particular section? Is it contested land, or what informed such a platform?
It was a contested lands, like it was just a survey by the commission because of the ongoing fraudulent dealings that were there. So they came up with a commission in order to at least do away with the numerous fraudulent dealings. So they came up with a commission and they did their report and they came up with the report. So before purchasing any property, you just look for the report and look whether that property has been listed there. So if it's there, it's a bad title deed. And actually the last one is just physical inspection. Just go to the property and look whether it's there. You can be sold something that is not there. Yes.
So, and also looking into what you mentioned in terms of, a bad title deed, does it mean then that you cannot really acquire, given that it is a contested land, either it is in court or whatever, but we have the original owner once the court process has culminated, does it mean that you cannot acquire that particular property until it has been delisted from this particular report?
Yes. You need to do all the due diligence. You have to get the consent from the NLC, that is the National Land Commission, to authenticate that this is a good title deed, that you can proceed now with acquiring that property.
All right.
Yes.
So now, focusing on the digitization, you've mentioned that you cannot acquire a property in Nairobi unless you have, converted your title deed from the old one to the digital one, so to speak. What has the progress been made, given that you started in 2023 and only Nairobi is where that caveat is in place? What is happening to the other parts of the country? Because Nairobi is not the hotbed in terms of the fraudulent activities. It is across the country.
So currently, actually, there's a whole process of conversion, because the first process is for the conversion list to be listed by the surveyors, and after that, gazettement by the cabinet secretaries. Yes, so it will take time because they need the cadastral maps and everything, and surveyors and everything. But now in Nairobi, I think it's fully operational, and currently it's slowly being auction at Muranga. It's not really that fully operational.
Also, they are now focusing on Muranga to see what they can do.
Yes, currently. But in the near future, it is something that will be done in the 47 countries. Like, it's something that everyone will be doing it. And what are the features of conversion? So, for you to know whether this title has been converted, it's a sequence of all the land reference number. Like, there's a sequence in all of them.
Okay.
So, like, let me say in Nairobi, there's Nairobi block something stroke something for all the converted title deeds.
Okay.
And what are the features? So there's a QR code at the last page. So you can just look at the QR code and see whether it's a legit title deed.
Or just scan it or something.
Yes. And also there's a serial number. So for the serial number, you can also check whether to verify if this title deed is really authentic by just logging into the Adhisasa platform. You go to the verify documents, you put in the serial number, it will bring everything in that title deed. And also the last one is the watermark of the Adhisasa platform. When you just look at the title deed, there's that watermark of Adhisasa. So at least with that, it's now what is called now conversion.
All right. Now, as an advocate, is there a legal framework that informed the conversion of the old title deeds to the digital title deeds? And can we talk about that particular legal framework and how it has been progressive in terms of addressing the land emotive issues?
Yes, the legal framework, rather, that is the Land Registration Act, Section 109 and 108. The main goal of it was to have at least one unified system with regards to naming properties. Like, at least when it's in Nairobi, we know it's Nairobi block. When it's in Kisumu block. Like, it's just the migration of from the previous title deeds to the new system. And also, you'll agree with me that previously there were so many land acts that were really regulating the land.
Yeah.
You'll get GLA, you'll get the Government Land Act and everything. Yes. So, and also there was the registered RTA, they were there. Registration of Titles Act, yes, they were there. There were so many, but now right now they're trying to at least use one act to come up with the digitalization and unification of all the title deeds into one system.
So are we foreseeing a situation whereby now there will be amalgamation of these particular acts into a single act to sort of solidify them into one?
Yeah, that is the Land Registration Act, because at the tail end, it repeals 6 acts. Yes, the ones we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's the major. It's the subsidiary legislation. Then the Land Act is the primary legislation.
Right. So this new system is meant to ensure accuracy.
Yes.
And meant to ensure efficiency and also deal with the issue of scamming and fraudulent activities. But even so, people have questioned people have raised questions on whether this technological system is prone to errors, because it's a system like any other. The corrupt individuals in the land ministry are the same. So they might find a loophole to circumvent and initiate the issues surrounding fraudulent activities in land acquisition. How has the new system and the legal framework ensure that it is tamper-proof, not to be to have these scenarios? Okay,
the main reason as to why the system is there is to reduce the human interference with anything to do with the land. The good thing with the system, when, let me say, any application has been done on your property, and so long as it is converted, you'll be notified by an SMS or, let me say, an text email with Adhisasa that this application has been lodged in your system. And now, as the proprietor or the owner of the property, you'll need to log into your Adhisasa platform for you to either reject or accept this transaction. So if you reject, it won't proceed because you don't know anything about it, and it can't really proceed without you submitting the title deed, because you let me say that you are the proprietor, you have your title deed, so you'll need to submit it by getting a ticket from the system. So if someone else is dealing with your property, they can't proceed without you accepting that transaction. Yes.
All right. So the question has been, you've said Nairobi has fully digitized in terms of the issue of conversion, and now you're scaling up to Murang'a, but people have have the perception that people in the rural areas who are actually the title deed owners are not technically equipped, and therefore in that particular scenario they are prone to being hoodwinked in the process of conversion of these services. How has the system ensured that this particular cadre of people are not taken advantage of in the process of digitization?
Okay, in the process of digitalization, so the good thing with Ardhi Sasa, there's a customer care at the registry. You just walk in there, ask any question with regards to Ardhi Sasa. One day I walked to the customer care, I saw a lady asking the customer care to help them generate a stamp duty slip, and they were helped. You just go with your assessed document or whatever question you have, you just go there at the customer care desk, they'll give you assistance. Yes.
Now, land ownership, the reason why sometimes it is emotive is because of shared property. A group of people bought a parcel of land, or siblings own a parcel of land, courtesy of inheritance. And in that particular case, once this conversion has been done, do we have challenges in terms of either conversion of the land into the digital title deeds, given that it's joint ownership, or how does it happen sometimes when we have the issue of subleases? I have leased a piece of land to a certain individual for maybe 100 years. How then can they initiate that particular process, given that they do not have the mother title deed?
Okay, with regards to the first question, where let me say there's joint ownership. So while doing conversion, you'll get, let me say if you are the joint proprietors, the two of you or the three of you, you'll need to authorize for the conversion to be done on your property. But for the sub-leases, if you don't have the mother title, now and you want to do anything with regards to your property, you'll need to obtain something called the approval, manual registration approval, because in that case, you don't have the mother title, you don't have a sectional property title, so the only thing you have is the sub-lease. So for the sub-lease, if you want to transfer, if you want to charge, if you want to do anything on them, you'll need to write to the chief land registrar of that county to seek approval to proceed with the transaction manually, because you can't convert it without having the mother title deed.
Okay.
Yes.
What then is the process in terms of a lost title deed? Because people have said there's a gap there in terms of you want to change it into a digital title deed, but you have lost the title deed, and therefore it creates a scenario whereby you can't go. How do you approach the ministry to say I'm actually the legal owner of this particular property, but there's no particular evidence to show that I own the property? How then do they go about it?
So the first thing, you report to the nearest police station. You'll be given a police abstract. After that, you proceed and get a statutory declaration commissioned by an advocate. Then after that, you apply for the replacement of the lost title deed, and it must be gazetted for 60 days, so that in case of that title deed being found, you will be given back. But after the elapse of the 60 days, you'll be given the title deed back. You'll be given a replacement title deed. You won't be given a title deed. It's just a document to show that the initial title deed is lost. So you have that document to just show that you are the legal owner. So with that, you still log in to Ardhi Sasa. You go to that my property section. You apply for conversion. You key in the details, and also you key in the new title deed number. After that, you sign. You need to sign to authorize the conversion to be acted on.
All right.
Yes.
Now, they say the system is actually meant to ensure that the human interference is minimized. But even so, human is to error, and there have been the concerns that maybe in the situation where we have found two people with the same title deed, the question has been, what if we have a situation whereby Ardhi Sasa can create errors in terms of imputing the records? is there a legal mechanism to cushion the legal owner, given that now this is a digital system and it is actually said to be tamper-proof, but now there's a genuine case of of an error that has been committed here?
I think the recent error that I encountered with regards to Adisasa, it was for the omission of the registration of an entry on the encumbrance section. Like it was running from number 1 to 7, but while looking at the title deed, number 4 was missing. So in this case, what do? What you do, the first thing, you apply for it on the system. There's that part for rectification of a title deed. So you apply for it, and the proprietor, rather the owner of the property, must sign, and you submit your title deed at GDC, that is in survey, then it will be rectified.
Is it a sort of a cumbersome process, or does it take consume a lot of time?
No, it doesn't take time.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Advocate Awire. With that, we'll be able to take our first break, but do stay with us. We'll be back with more, including the system weaknesses and the issue of enumeration. See you on the other side of this break.
Hi, my name is Stella Tioi.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mukwa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu umwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia,
They find it quite strange talking to you.
We should just make schools integrated,
Inclusive setups.
by providing the right facilities. Ni nguzo na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii, na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimweli.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Law Matters tonight, looking into the issue of land digitization to deal with the issue of fraudulent activities and scamming that has led to emotive issues surrounding land. We're having Advocate Awire giving us a perspective on what is ongoing currently. Now, Advocate Awire, the issue about land and the reason why we have seen a lot of scamming when it comes to land is that people do not have enough information, or they cannot reach enough information when they want to search whether this is the legal owner of this particular property, because there has been a lot of bureaucracy. Someone asks you, do you know somebody at the house to do this for you? So the digitization aspect of it, how has it helped in terms of applying for a land search, which is actually one of the due diligence practices when acquiring a land property?
Okay, with regards to Adisasa, it is there to at least to stop the human interference. So currently you can conduct your search just while seated there, so long as you have the parcel number, and you also have, once you have the parcel number, you just log into the system, you look for the search application, you key in the land reference number. After that, it will proceed to verification and payment. So after you've paid the 1050, that is the 1,050 for you to get the search, you'll need the proprietor of this property to at least verify from their end. If they don't verify for you to get the search, you won't get the search.
Oh, is it because of data protection issue, or why has that, sort of a embargo?
It is there because, you see, the land is there. So if you want to do anything with regards to that land, they need to know that you've conducted that search. Currently, in, let me say, other counties apart from Nairobi, you can just go to the registry, do the search, and I won't know because that property is not on Adhisasa.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So it then means that in places whereby the conversion has not been fully done, then people can find information about that parcel of land freely without the legal owner actually, consenting to that.
Yes. I can just walk to Kisumu. I do the search over your property, and you won't know. But here in Nairobi, you need to verify and also accept for me to get the search. Okay, in one way it's good because you'll know that I'm doing the search over your property. But in the other way, it won't really be good if I want to just know, let me say it's a bank, or let me say, okay, I just want to know the status of this land, like due diligence, before even engaging you. I want to buy your property, I know the parcel number, and you don't know that I want to engage you, you see. For me to do the back end due diligence, I need to at least get the current search over the property. But I can't do it in Nairobi without you consenting to it, even if I pay the amount, even if that payment has been verified over, in the system, without you agreeing to verify this search application, I won't get the search.
Do you think there's a loophole on that in the legal framework that can be open to litigation in terms of either data protection, data privacy, and also, somebody trying to overreach to see the properties that Advocate Wawire owns, or, a certain property that an institution or a business entity owns?
I think the back end of putting these applications to reside with the proprietors, it was to avoid what we are talking about, the fraudulent dealings. That the property belongs to me. You should not do anything on this property without me consenting or without my approval. So it was there to at least protect the interest of the proprietor. Because if this property belongs to you, you have the inherent right to do whatsoever you wish with your property. So someone should not just come from nowhere to deal with this property without you agreeing to it. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about the issue of interest in terms of land. It has been an issue that has been point of discussion. But before we get into the deep of it, tell us about the types of interest of land here in the country, depending on the type of land.
So interest in land, we do have leasehold, we have freehold properties, we also have license. So for freehold, this property belongs to you exclusively. You do whatever you want with it. But in the Land Registration Act, it always says the absolute ownership of all the properties in Kenya belongs to the government of Kenya. Yes. And for the leasehold, you have a property that you've been given exclusive possession for a term period. Like, let me say, it can be a fixed term, it can be periodic, it can be a long-term lease. And for license, you are just using this property for a certain time. It's not exclusive possession, like let me say studio, apartments and everything. But for a lease, let me say you are the tenant, I want to do something on your property. So let me say I deal with telecommunication services. I want to erect a telecommunication booster on your property. So I'll come to you, speak to you, and you'll need to consent for me to construct this booster on your property. And whatever I'll be using, that your property is what is called leasehold. And how do you register this leasehold? You register them on the encumbrance section. So the encumbrance section, that is, I think, where most people, they really don't know why that space is always there. The third space of the title deed is just, because if you open the title deed, it's just, that space is just empty for most people. But if you take, let me say, a charge from the bank, if you want to lease your property to someone else to use it for a certain period, it will be registered there, because that is an interest on that land. Despite you being the owner of the property, property, there's also someone who is also enjoying an interest on that property. Yes.
Interesting. Now, on the aspect of digitization, there's been the issue of land disputes taking quite a long period of time in court. Like you can see, a town is developed, but there's still one piece of land that is still idle, and when you follow up, you hear there's an ongoing court case that has derailed the progress in this parcel of land. Now, looking into the Artisasa and how you've mentioned how the features of the digital title deeds and the process altogether, do you think it will help deal with the backlog of cases in courts in terms of land disputes?
Yes, I think it will really be helpful to Kenyans, because right now, at the moment, no one can deal with your property without you consenting or you being aware about it. And previously, without conversion and the digitalization, someone could just walk in, and also you've had stories of fake title deeds.
Yeah.
So you want to know which one is fake and which one is the real title deed. And right now, with the Sasa platform, you need to really know what any transaction that will be conducted on your property, you'll get a notification that this application, this transfer has been lodged. Kindly log in and accept or reject. So it is there that is the main reason as to why it was developed, to do away with human interference.
Okay. Now, the issue of title deeds has been a cagey issue, especially in different regimes, to an extent that a whole president can walk into a community to issue title deeds, something that should be quite accessible. I just walk or I just apply on a platform and I have my title deed, but it goes to an extent of a president walking to a community. In terms of that particular aspect, most of the time it's an issue of title deed not being in place, and before you hear it, that land is now owned by a private person, or it's now a public land. In the issue of digitization, are we going to see an issue of records disappearing to an extent that now land that was owned by a community or an individual now being owned by a totally different entity?
Okay, with Ardhisasa, for you to transfer community land to a private owner or other company, there's that process. We need 2/3 consent from the community members, and either the chairman or the secretary of the community must sign for that property to be transferred. So in this case, it's really so hard for that property to be transferred from community land to an individual without the consent of 2/3 of the membership. And how is this being prevented from the fraudulent dealings and the transfers? So this is what is being done. So there must be a resolution, like where these 2/3 of the members of the community, where they've consented to the transfer. And while doing the application, there's that part of the document. So it must be one of the documents that is being uploaded on the system for the registrar to verify whether all of them signed, or all the members that are in the membership of the community, they've all signed, and all of them, the people who have signed, are 2/3 of those members. And how will this be verified? So let me say they look at the names, the IDs, they look at the signatures, and if they think there's something fishy that is going on, they'll go to the ground, because you can't really transfer a property that is not in existence, and they'll go to the ground and at least speak to most of them whether they consent to the transfer. And if they consent to the transfer, so there's nothing that will really stop the registrar from transferring it to the community land if all the process has been fully followed.
There's been an issue of disappearing of records. In different government institutions, you go there, including at the house, and you're told, well, madam, file yako haiko, your file is not here. This is a digital system, which has, different sort of, do I call them servers, or, servers in terms of keeping these particular records. What are the measures that have been put in place to ensure that it is tamper-proof to an extent that we do not have disappearance of record? Because I have registered, it's more digital. Once it disappears from that particular server, I have nothing to hold on to to say that actually this was my property?
Okay, the issue of disappearing of records, actually for conversion to be done, there are three things that are migrated on the system, like all the records, that is the land registration, like the size of the property, everything with regards to proprietorship, the dealings that have been there, and everything. And the second bit is the land survey, the cadastral maps, all the maps, the survey maps and everything. And the last one is the land administration, all the records that have been there. Let me say whether the transfers they were there, the charges and everything. That is why when you do anything on that property by a quick search, you'll get the history. You won't just get something that like the ongoing thing. You'll get when the property was registered the first time to now. You'll get that breakdown that has happened on the property. So these really stop the records from getting lost, because when the property has been migrated to the system, everything is in the system. So there's no way at one particular time that you'll get the record is missing from the system.
All right. So that are the SASA, override the Land Registration Act or the Land Act 2012 in case we have overriding overriding records, so to speak. Which one, supersedes in situations that is happening at this particular time when we are having some sort of a transition, given that it is not fully scaled up in the country?
Okay, I think the first thing, I will say, the SASA is there to complement the old regime, that is the physical records and everything. It's just there to complement. But let me say in a scenario whereby whatever is in the physical record is really different from the other SASA, they'll need to verify at what point did we miss this migration of the record. So they look whether whatever is in the physical record should be incorporated in the system. But a case scenario, you can't say the title deed was converted in, let me say, 2023, then you come in 2025 and say that, oh, I did a transaction in 2024 and it was not in the physical record. That one, just by going with that is just a fraudulent dealing, that really, because you can't do anything on that property once it has been converted without the proprietor being aware.
Okay. In terms of Kenya having a long history in terms of double allocation, to a point that a Supreme Court bench, I don't know if it's the Supreme Court bench or the Court of Appeal bench, the Supreme Court pronounced itself to say that a title deed is not a de facto sign of ownership in terms of a parcel of land. You've mentioned about the Ndumu sort of a report to deal with the contested land. Are the SASA sort of flashing out the situations whereby we have seen double allocation of land? Does it now sift these cases?
Yes, I think the ruling, the judgment you are talking about by the Supreme Court is the dinner management versus county government of Mombasa, where the Supreme Court said the title deed is just not okay. It's not like the back end. It's not the back end. So they need to look at the historical history over this property. So if the history shows otherwise, even if you have this title deed, it means you got it in a fraudulent dealing. So the system is there to at least avoid the double titling of documents. So once you've done conversion, you'll be issued with that title deed. And also while doing the application, there's that part of adding the person you want this to collect the title deed from survey. So with regards to that, there's no way when you're going to pick that document, because they look at your passport and look at you and say, okay, is this you on this on the platform? If you're not the one, you'll not be given the title deed. And how do you surrender title deed? You must do a formal letter to the cabinet secretary while doing, let me say you want to convert your title deed, the old title deed, you have to surrender it for you to be issued with a new title deed. So you do a formal letter, and on that letter they'll receive on it. So even if you go with this letter, because it's the original, you go collect the title deed from them, they look, okay, where can you get the rubber stamp? And also there's that reference number. So they just get the reference number and click on the system and check whether it has really progressed to 100%, and is when you'll be given the title deed.
So at the point that you're surrendering the old title deed, at the same time you're not being issued with a new one?
No. It takes time.
Because Kenyans title deed is one of the most protected documents. You cannot hand your title deed without the assurance that you'll be given the new title deed, because in between that process a lot can happen to an extent of scamming. So what are the buffers in place to curtail this?
The thing is, you can't surrender your title deed the same day you get it on the same day, because it must go verification, you see. So you surrender using a letter, and on that letter they'll receive with a stamp, official stamp of the registry. Then you go back with the letter and track the process using your assessor. You can see whether it's at verification, whether it's at evaluation, and the percentage. So the verification, that's why the system, it has that part for verification. They'll need time to investigate over the title deed, whether we do have the physical file, whether all the documents were migrated to the system, whether is this a true copy, or rather is this the original title deed over this property. So that is why they need time to verify every application. So it's not like really instant. You take the letter there, then you be given immediately. And it's also good because you can track record. You can track, my application it's at verification. My application it's at evaluation. It has been assigned to a registrar. It's something that gives you comfort that it's progressive and there's no human interference with it.
I think that particular process of verification to the tail end, I know this is a positive progress, but the house cartels might find a loophole in between there too, because somebody might say, I gave an original title deed, but it must have been swapped in between the process to an extent that now mine is being deemed fake, and yet I gave an original one. And I think maybe it's subject to development as we continue with the digitization process. Now, this particular digitization has failed in some countries. They have tried to put it in place, but it has failed. What really gives us some sort of a better leg up in terms of ensuring that this system is scaled up in the 47 counties and actually remains dominant in the country and not fail like other countries?
I think you can't really give your title deed and someone else to come and claim over it, because while giving your title deed with the letter, you need to sign somewhere. You sign with your name, with your ID, with the company you are coming from, for that title, while surrendering that title deed. And also at collection, you come with that letter, the previous letter you ended the old title deed with, you come with it. They look at it, they look at the reference number, they look at the system, whether it has been completed or not. Then is when they advise you whether go to this place or go to this place, or they tell you, wait a minute, we call for the dispatch team to bring the original title deed to us for us to dispatch it to you. And for the 47 counties, and I think that is why it's taking time, because it's a digital system that must be really looked into with regards to all the title deeds in one property. It's 2 years down the line, and it's really fully functional in Nairobi, and that is why it's taking time. So in the next 10 years, I can't really say it's 10 years, because it has just taken 2 years for it to fully be functional in Nairobi. So it's something that is workable, something that is really there to reduce human interference, and also to give comfort to landowners with the surety that someone can't really deal with your property without you being aware, and also you verifying all the applications on that property.
All right. Thank you so much, Advocate Tawire. With that, we'll be taking our final break, but do stay with us. We'll be having an interactive session on the other side of this break by allowing our audience to ask questions on this particular discussion. Do stay with us.
My name is Jakub Petri. I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. And I'm the main coordinator of the CAFE project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Ewa Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Badala ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Martins, tonight looking into the issue of digitization when it comes to land issues, when it comes to title deeds, being on the last segment of this particular discussion, bringing the discussion to a close here with Advocate Wawire. Now, Kenya has been touted in this era of data protection issues. It has been touted to have very weak laws in terms of protecting data. So when you look into the aspect of digitization, this is somebody's data being taken into a system. So with that in place, as an advocate, do you think there are cushions enough to ensure that data protection is not violated in terms of access or the use of this particular system?
Okay, the use of the system. For you to use the system, you must have an Advisor ID. This means you need to sign in, log into your details, like you put your details and everything. And while creating an Advisor account, there's this funny question they always really like asking: your mother's surname. So let me say, let me say you are Brenda Atieno, and the system may be picked while they were transitioning all the details to that system. Let me say you placed Atieno. It might refuse because there's one that refused, and we had to use, let me say, the first name as Brenda. After putting Brenda, it will generate everything, like it will really authenticate that whatever serial number you've used while registering, that is what belongs to you. And after signing up and also getting your account number, so I can only access your details via the Advisor platform if you share your Advisor ID. So if you don't share it with me, I won't know anything with regards to your data, so I can't get it. I can only get it if you give it to me. So if you don't give it to me, I can't get it.
All right. For the people who are now involved in managing this particular system, people who can access the servers, in cases whereby they violate the principles by giving out information either secretly or deliberately, either to an institution or to an individual, what are the punitive measures that are there? Are there any punitive measures put in place, or is it an issue now that now falls under the penal code?
Now this one, with the system, everything goes back to the proprietor. If this property of yours is being dealt with, or any information, because the Advisor ID can only be given by the owner of that number. But with regards to the system owners, the people can really access the servers. I think the Advisor, there's always that maintenance. If the people doing maintenance really sees there's a breach of data protection, then I think they'll just go ahead with the legal framework to bring these people to book, because data breach is really something that it should not be encouraged.
Oh, so it's not really under the land legal framework. It's more into the data protection and privacy issues.
Yes.
All right. So at this particular point, let's allow our audience to ask questions concerning this particular discussion. Who will be the first to go?
Okay, thank you. My name is Charles Mugeni, and as a law student who has an interest in conveyancing, my question would be, with the coming up of the digitization through Ardhi Sasa, what is in it for a lawyer or an advocate, since it is clear that land matters would be dealt with by Kenyans at the comfort of their homes?
Okay, thank you very much. So as an advocate or a lawyer, there's that in that platform, after having your private account as an individual, you can upgrade it to be an advocate, to be a surveyor, to be a physical planner. So as an advocate, because you see this transaction, like the charge, the transfers and everything, it cannot be lodged by any other person apart from the advocate. So for you to do for this proprietor to do this search or the charge, you need to help to be in the picture, because you need to verify that they've signed. You need to act for them by verification of section 45 of the Land Registration Act. So for an advocate, you need to upgrade the system to that one of an advocate for you to enjoy features like registering and also acting for your clients. Yes, it's there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charles. The second question.
So thank you. My name is Melody Nyawirangari. My question is, last year I was an intern somewhere, and there's an interesting case I came across where it deals with community land dispute. So it was just to give a brief about how the case was about. So it was a minister who went to a community and he ministered to them. So the community was happy and they offered to give land as a gift. I would want to conclude it was not a grant or a transfer, because there was no formality, but there was the community coming together and agreeing that they can give the land to the minister. So years later, after the minister has developed the land and built the buildings and all that, the community then came again, and they wanted the land back because they felt like a lot of development had been made in the place. So this minister trying to find justice from the courts, it was not able, because we all know maybe in our constitution, in Article 63, I guess, they have provided for, it is distinct land disputes, community land disputes, it's distinct from private land and public land. So the other provision is the Community Land Act. It provides for alternative dispute result. So the court was telling the minister to go back to the wazee to have a committee and decide how they will resolve. But bearing in mind the wazee are the ones who want the man out, the minister out of the place. So where does he stand in terms of having community land dispute provisions where he can't get justice from the court, and what are the reforms that can be made in terms of that to accommodate him? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Melody. Interesting.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in that case, the interest of the community is always first. Yeah. So if the due process, there's a step-by-step process of transferring a property. If it was given to the minister as a gift, and the minister is not having the original title deed, so now there is where the minister needs to speak to the wazee nicely, because I told you earlier on that for you to transfer community land, there must be consent from 2/3 of the community members. And if it is not there, even if you go to the court after the negotiation and the arbitration and everything, it was not there, they didn't approve the transfer, the 2/3 members of the community didn't approve, you didn't pay the agreed consideration. Because you see, for the wazee to go back, it means there's something fishy. Yeah, maybe they were not paid fully the way they agreed. And you've just said it was a gift. So for you to even transfer a gift, there must be the legal documents must be there, the transfer signed by the chairman and the secretary of the community. If it is missing, it means that transfer was not actioned, and the wazees must be spoken to nicely, the way you just said. And also for community lands, they're really they go back to the backbone of the communities, because it's one interest in that spreads to several people. So what happens in this case? So that is why the resolution with the 2/3 members of the community must be there, and also the chairman and the secretary must be there to approve the transfer, and also they must acknowledge receipt of the consideration. So if they didn't, let me say you promised them that, oh, let me just do this development, when it catches up, let me say in the near future I'll be paying you this, and let me say you are not fulfilling your promise. Now you see they have all the right to come back to the court, and the court also weighing the interest that you have on the property and the interest that the wazees are having on the property. They just come to a common ground to tell you, do this, go speak to them and come back. If you don't really agree, then the court will be left to decide on that matter.
So how then, as we bring the discussion to a close, how does Ardhisasa accommodate the issue of community land, especially when there is an aspect, a discussion of that it was historically taken away from them, and they have no legal binding documents to show that indeed this parcel of land belongs to them? Does this new system look into the issue of community land and how emotive it is, given that sometimes we don't have binding documents surrounding it?
So it is there, the transfer of community land. You just click on it, then you log into that platform, put the details of the chairman and the secretary. Then while proceeding with the transfer of the community land, you need to upload all the transfer documents. That part for documentation, you need to upload the approval of the 2/3 members of the community. You need to upload the transfer duly signed by the person this property is being transferred to, and also the chairman and the secretary. So it can't really proceed to the next level without proper documentation.
What if in a situation whereby they're being told the land belongs to, the records show that the land belongs to somebody else, yet historically they have known that this parcel of land belongs to them? That has been the situation whereby land is being developed, but people are saying, no, this was a community land. But they're saying, no, I own this parcel of land, I have the title deed. So
the thing there is, you'll need just to apply to the registrar and for the registration of a caveat on the property, so that nobody can deal on it. Then you go to court. So the court will determine the proprietor of the property. Yes. So the first thing you do, you apply to the registrar and register a caveat on the property. After it has been registered is when you go to court and a certificate of urgency, because your property will be even sold without you being aware.
Thank you so much, Advocate Wairo. We hope that, this Ardhisasa, digitization will be beneficial to the country, and at a time where systems are known to crash, we don't want to see a situation whereby the system is crashing and now we are going back to scratch in our quest to have, digitization in place. But many thanks indeed for making time.
Thank you.
All right, that has been it on this particular discussion on digitization and the progress that the government is making in terms of dealing with scamming and fraudulent activity on issues surrounding land, which is indeed an emotive issue. And with that, because we are pressed on time, my name is Irene Mwangi. I do wish you a splendid night.